everyone, and welcome to the podcast. We're in somewhere a little bit of a different place, and you might notice that Danny's kind of changed a little bit. Well, we'll change the camera over. There they are.
Hello.
No, so we're actually joined today by our first guest of SHEDTalks. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, of course. Hello, my name's Jim Cambridge. I'm a professional wrestler and owner of Starr Wrestling, and my wrestling name is Jimmy Starr. So yeah, will that do?
yeah, perfect.
That's fine. So, quick question: when you say professional wrestler, like what kind of stuff have you gone and done? Like any like TV kind of wrestling, or is it all kind of been like local kind of area stuff, or?
No, when I first started wrestling, obviously you go through a training process. It's like any job, you have to learn how to do it and train. But my initial plan was to try and get into the WWE, and I had quite a nice career. I wrestled for companies like All Star, Premier Promotions. I can't remember there's so many promotions I wrestled for over the years. But basically, you sort of become a self-employed, product, and you have to get yourself out there. So a lot of my sort of first 10, 11 years in wrestling was just me being a wrestler and traveling the world. I went to America. I've been over Europe, and I've been to some pretty cool places. I've been all over this country, like literally every single inch of it, wrestling in various different halls and what do you call it? And I've been on some big shows. I have been on TV. There was a channel years ago called the Wrestling Channel.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. And I was on that a few times for a few shows, but I mean, it wasn't proper TV. It was just someone filming a show and they sent it in, and the Wrestling Channel played it. They played a lot of content. Yeah. So they weren't my finest matches, but if, you can technically say I've been on TV, and I've done some things for like there used to be a channel that came out of Norwich. I can't remember what it was called, but they had like a sort of current event show, like the One Show. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
they had their own sort of version of that, and they had me on to talk about wrestling and stuff. So cool. I've done, aside from this is outside of Fallen Star Wrestling, I had quite a good career. I did some wrestling. I did some wrestling and training over in America and trained for Harley Race and some big names like that and stuff. So if you sort of break it down in small chunks, I've had quite a good career, and there's been some cool moments. But when I decided to start Fallen Star Wrestling, it was sort of at the point where I do something like that, start my own business. Start Fallen Star Wrestling, start the training school, or I quit because I was at the point where I was just fed up with the sort of politics of wrestling. There's a lot of politics, backstage politics. A little bit fed up of that, a little bit fed up of a lot, just going from place to place in England, and to earn a living and to be a professional wrestler in this country is possible, but you have to do the holiday camps. And when you spend like years doing the holiday camps, doing Butlins or Pontins, it fucks with your head. Like all you hear is fruit machines fucking rattling, and you used to smell kids' fucking feet because they're running around. It's the cheeky girls are playing or something like that. All that sort of shit music, and you're just consumed by that constantly, and after a while, it's just it really sends you insane. You don't know what fucking day it is. You're just getting out there wrestling, doing your job, and, So it was that sort of got to me a little bit, and it was either start my own company with no money. By the way, I Fallen Star Wrestling. I started with no capital, which is a long story, but it was funded without much money, and. It's been a sort of I sort of cut my career in half, where I had sort of 11 years of being a professional wrestler, and then now 11 years of trying to learn how to be a promoter. I wrestle on my shows, but trying to learn how to be a promoter and put on a solid show, and and train people to a very high level as well. The Fallen Star Wrestling Academy, I don't teach shit. I train people to a high level. I get decent people in to help and support training, help and support with the training, So I sort of split my career in half really.
Yeah.
Being a wrestler, being a promoter, trainer, and wrestler. So busy.
Yeah.
What is it? So, Falling Star Wrestling. How long has that been going on for now?
So Falling Star Wrestling started in 2011. Our first show was March 2011, and there's a little bit of a story behind it if you want to hear it. When I did the show, I found a really nice hall in Huntington. There's a really nice hall there. I can't remember what it's called. It might just be the Huntington fucking whatever town hall or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But it was a nice hall. And I'd wrestled there before and it was packed. Well, I can't remember what promotion it was for, but I did wrestle there before and it was busy. So I thought, well, Falling Star Wrestling's first show is going to be there because it was really busy last time. It's a really nice hall. It's expensive, but I'm going to throw everything at it. And like I said, I had no capital. I saved up some money to put on this show. I knew I had enough money to put on the show, but it needed to make money. I couldn't lose. I needed to make money to do another show. If I didn't make money, I would have been fucked. So I went and I took a load of guys with me, guys who were, because the school hadn't even started yet. This was the first show, the first thing that Falling Star Wrestling would have ever done. So I took a load of friends up to Huntington. We were flyering constantly, we were postering constantly. I got in the papers, I got on the radio. We absolutely blasted the promotion of that hall. Bought shitloads of merchandise to sell, so I knew we were going to make some money. Bought some, all the foam fingers, bought FSW t-shirts, really made a big deal out of it. Bought some, I didn't have a ring at the time, I didn't have nothing, I didn't have anything, I didn't have any equipment, so I had to hire the ring. I hired the guys who brought the ring, they were wrestling on the show too. Bulk was on the show, Matt was on the show, I remember that. I think even Marty Skell might have been on the show, because I don't think he got to bit that sort of big time yet, you know what I mean? And did the show, couldn't lose. Fucking needed about 70 people a break even to come and watch the show, which isn't really, which is fine. Anything plus that, plus merch, would have been a profit. Fucking show day comes, we go to do this show. Everyone knows it's on because I can hear people talk. I hear people talking about it in town. There was some people in town who donated prizes for the raffle because they knew what was going on. Oh, we'll be there. Fucking awesome, blah, blah, blah. Did the show, fucking showtime comes, door time open. I've got my parents fucking helping me. I've got, everyone that I can just get together to try and make this show happen, because again, it's my first show. I don't have a professional MC. I don't really have professional refs. I know the wrestlers are okay. They're all professional, but it's just, everything is just, it was a nightmare to promote. But anyway, knew it was going to be packed because everyone was talking about it, and I worked so fucking hard. We all worked so fucking hard to make sure this show was a success. Doors open at 6:30. 25 people show up to the show. I am fucked. We put on a good show for the 25 people. Some of them were family and friends that came from here to Huntington to see it. No one came. No one fucking came. About 25, 30 people, I would say, at max. That was it. Fucking Falling Star Wrestling was done. And it was, it was totally out of the game. And I can't remember who said it. It might have been Matt. But Matt said, why did you come out to Huntington? Like, no one knows you here. You've wrestled in, like, in sport for other promotions or whatever. No one knows us here. They know us in, sort of back, in West Norfolk. They don't know us in Huntington. There was no reason for them to come. There wasn't like a local guy wrestling. There wasn't a big name on the show. There was no reason for people to come. I think it was someone said that anyway. I don't know if it was Matt. And I was like, yeah, well, it's fucked too late now. It's fucked. And my nan, funnily enough, she was living with my mum and dad at the time. She wasn't very well. She was sort of coming towards the end of her life, and she was living with my parents at the time. And we were in a pub, and I was sort of just telling her the sob story of what happened, sort of telling you like about exactly what I told you. And she said, "Look, I'll give you a grand." She said, "I'll give you £1,000 to give you another second bite of the cherry," and she did. She gave me a grand cash, boom. And then I hired the Heacham Village Hall, and I got Johnny Storm in. We've got a few other wrestlers in. It was a lot more professionally organised. You know, I had a decent MC, decent ref. Still didn't have a ring. Had to hire the ring, all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
I didn't have a ring for years. Like Fallen Star Wrestling when it started, I used to have to hire everything. So that's why it was so expensive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
But the show was packed. It was busy. It was a success. So it made a little bit of money, and you know, I was putting on shows every sort of couple of months, and then I decided I'm going to have to open a training school because that's where the money is really.
Yeah.
You hire,
get people, you get guys coming back.
I need, it makes it easier for me because once the guys are trained up and ready, it will take time,
Yeah.
but once they're trained up and ready, they'll, you know, I can use those guys and I don't have to bring people in, so that's handy. Obviously that'll take time. I'm looking sort of into the future there, but also, you know, starting a wrestling school is a lot fucking cheaper than putting on a show. You know, you hire a place with some mats, you know, 30 quid, charge people a tenner. Otherwise, you know, since the school's opened in 2011, I've never altered the price. It's always been a tenner, and the people started coming to training, and that was what sort of kept Fallen Star Wrestling alive. Really, the training school. You know, that's where the money came from. But yeah, it was really, really fucking hard at the start. The first 4 or 5 years were a nightmare because we didn't have any of the equipment. I constantly had to hire things. The ring we used was an old ring that Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis. Yeah. I went to school with him. Obviously, we started training at the same time. He bought a ring when he started a promotion called Summit. It was literally in his garage, so I used to hire it from him, but the nightmare was just obviously putting it back in the evening. So you get the fucking ring, do the show, take it to his mum's garage. She lived in Docking. It was just a nightmare, logistically just a pain in the fucking ass. And everyone who was around at that time, like Rob, Furio, Shawnee, and you know, a few others who probably aren't about anymore, you know, really like their training was a lot harder than it is now because we just didn't have anything. We had to fucking just grasp and grab and steal and, but you know, until eventually we could start affording these things. And it took a long time for us to be able to have the money to get the ring and you know, get some lights and get to the stage where we are now, where we look like a professional outfit and could just put, you know, we got a show in a van, boom, done. But it took a long time. A fucking long time.
Was there a moment where it was like, because obviously you said the first 4 or 5 years were difficult. So was there a moment at some point where it was like you just did a show and you realised everything was starting to get a little bit easier to prepare the whole event, basically?
When Joe and Matt, well, Matt's always been involved in Fallen Star Wrestling since its inception, really. Always been involved in the booking and the especially at the start, the social media stuff. Matt Waters, I'm talking about. You know, so he was a big help. The real help came when Joe jumped on board because I'm shit with money. Okay, so Fallen Star Wrestling was always skin, and that was sort of my fault because I'm just not good with money. I can't. It slips through my fingers. But Joe is like. I don't know if she is an accountant or was an accountant, but she's obviously got a good mind for money. So when she took over the money side, and Matt was there on the social media side, and I was there on the training and booking and you know, show side. When we sort of got that set up, that was when the Wesleyan started being packed every time, and that was when, like, you know, the like people like Shawnee and Furio were sort of ready and prepared, and they'd been wrestling for a while, but they knew the job by then. So I would say it's only probably been the last sort of maybe 4 years that Fallen Star Wrestling's been a profitable business. Before then, we were either losing money or just you know, making it, you know, breaking even. Otherwise, you know, a lot of times we did a show once in Dersenham. We hired a Dersenham church hall out, whatever it was, and we drew like 16 fucking people, and it was fucking horrible. Like, you know, there was a lot of shows like that in the start for Fallen Star Wrestling. It wasn't always packed, but now we have a really good fan base. We have a really good core, and you know, we seem to be pretty busy on those shows. But I'd say it was about when Joe got on board. and Matt sort of like, you know, really had started helping with the fucking social media side of stuff, and we had a bit of a team. That was when things started working.
Yeah, like the ball sort of rolling.
Yeah,
like you say, you see that kind of return back from the audience,
from
really.
years away. I mean, I'm not fucking joking. I mean, the debt that I was in is just is ridiculous, you know. And it was. It's not as if I started Falling Star Wrestling and started making loads of money, like, and it's not like even like that to this day. The money that we make for Falling Star Wrestling, you know, goes into Falling Star Wrestling. It doesn't go to me. You know, the idea is to build the company and build the business to get bigger and bigger and bigger for, you know, for the guys who train and, you know, give them better opportunities. But at the moment, I think that we're doing really well. Like, I think our shows are honestly, you know, for any wrestling fans out there, I think our fucking shows, like, if you put them against any show in the country, I think they're second to none. That Loonsport show that we last did, Eye of the Tiger, I would put that show against any show in the country for production values and for the actual quality of the wrestling, the storylines going into it. I think it was fucking superb, and it just shows the growth of the company. It shows the growth of the wrestlers. It shows the growth of as me as a promoter being able to tell these stories, and also the guys. You know, they have a huge influence over their own stories, but you know, it you still have to piece it together and put it in the right place, and you know, create that show. You know, a show is peaks and troughs. You know what I mean? It's got to go up and down and give the crowd like a roller coaster ride effect. And you know, but it's people think like booking's easy. They just think, oh, if I put these two guys together, they'll have a fucking great match. Yeah, they might have a fucking great match, but if they have a great match, you know, fucking second, and the main event isn't as good as that match, then people are going to think the show shit because the main event wasn't as good as the, you know what I mean? The main event always has to be the best match, you know what I mean? So it's peaks and troughs, and you have to learn how to put on a show, and you have to learn how to tell the guys, look, you know, you're on second, so don't fucking go crazy, because, you know, the next match is semi-main, that's got to be like fucking bang, bang, bang. You know, after the interval, pick them up again, drop them down again for the fifth, and then the main, throw everything at it, and fucking, you know, then you got a good show if people, you know, if you get it right. And Eye of the Tiger, honestly, I'd put that up against any show in the country at the moment, you know. And it's not, I'm not talking about smart mark type shows like fucking, you know, the Rev Pros and all that sort of stuff. That's for a particular fan base that will always turn up to those shows because that's the kind of wrestling they like. But when I say I'll put that show up against anything, I mean the fucking circus. I mean anything that's on the Corn Exchange, a pantomime, anything. That show caused, you know, more people had fun. There was fucking people just absolutely, you know, lost their voice because they were screaming so hard. They can fucking cheer, they can roar, kids can go ballistic, and everyone left smiling and happy, you know. And that's that. Like I say, I would put that show up against anything. I mean. Anything.
Being at Linsport, I mean the environment and the teamwork that on that day in particular, everybody just clubbed in, and do you know what I mean, everything went so swimmingly because, like you said, we just worked as one unit. We all just kind of got on with it, and I mean,
you ref the main event for fuck's sake. So you ref the main event.
Yeah,
I mean you heard you heard the fucking crowd, and you know, and looking out and being there, and obviously you've obviously got to keep in character and do what you're doing. But there's also that point where you're looking out and you think, fucking hell, this is great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like like when you come out and stuff, you have to be you have to be your wrestling character or have that certain persona. But there is a point when, you know, if you get that sort of cheeky sort of look around and think, fuck yes.
I have to admit that there's an exact moment I can pinpoint it. It was the spot, because obviously Callie and Dark Wolf was main event of Linsport, and he gives him this super mega death variant of his finisher, so it's like an attitude adjustment. I can't remember the proper...
Like a Death Valley driver off the top, right? Yeah, he did it off the top rope, yeah.
I saw him setting up for it and I thought, this crowd's going to go absolutely nuts. It's like, and as soon as that shoulder was off the mat, that crowd just absolutely blew up. The whole audience just off their feet, shouting, screaming, everything. It was such a well built moment, like you say.
It's a well-built match. I told a great story, and I tell you something. You definitely added to that, like your acting skill. There was a spot in the match where they did crossbody over the top rope, didn't they? And they both did a big spill, did a big spill onto the mat. And the idea was it was like a sort of falsy in the sense that, you know, both of them were so fucked by that point. Would they make it back in the ring for 10? And you were counting, and the concern and look on your face, because obviously you're sitting there thinking, you don't want it to be a double count out. You want a winner. So the concern, and as they're crawling back in the ring, it's just pure drama. It's not the moves. It's the bits like that are pure drama. And you need to be on point as well. You can't just be a ref going 1, 2. You're fucking. They're going, oh shit, 1. I'm fucking. They're going, getting, please come in. 2, and the fucking wrestlers are crawling, and it that's the drama. That's the fucking. It ain't necessarily the move, even though the move gets them to that point.
Absolutely,
it's the fucking crawling in and the look and it was I watched that match. That was my favourite bit of the match. It was so well done. And then obviously they did a few more bits and built up to the finish. But that particular bit I really fucking enjoyed. I loved the drama of the crawling in and your face just looking like a police on getting, like I want, because you don't want to double count it out. You want to fucking win. You know what I mean? It was cool, man. It was good. It was really good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So when, because obviously you've gone and said you've grown as a pro, the storylines and all that kind of thing, and especially when it comes down to training people up, what kind of thing is it that you look for specifically to know when someone is actually ready to get in the ring and actually have a match and basically work for you, so that way you can start going and using them to further on storylines? Do you look at their wrestling ability? Is it their ability to kind of act in the ring? Is it the character they've created to try and get the crowd behind? What do you specifically want from your wrestlers?
It's a mixture of things. You've obviously got to be a certain competency at wrestling, so you don't hurt yourself or hurt someone else. There needs, but you don't need to be fucking Dean Malenko before you get in there. You just if you know how to fall and you know how to be led around and do a few bits. The main thing I look for, and also another thing, if I'm putting someone in a match for their very first time, I'm going to be putting them in with someone experienced, and it's not going to have any storyline involved with it at all. If there's the only storyline that will have it, that it will be is ladies and gentlemen, this is Danny Fizz, first match from the academy, blah blah blah. So give him a big cheer, give him a big cheer. This is his first match. This is his first attempt at being in the ring and wrestling his professional debut. So please give him a big cheer. So you let the crowd know that he's the underdog straight away. So if for some reason he gets a little bit starstruck when he's out there and he forgets to just act and sell the way you want, the crowd at least knows straight away that guy is a trainee. Then when the pro comes out, if it's say an experienced heel or an experienced babyface, whatever match you want to go, they can be led. But the main thing I look for is I want people to be able to sell. So, and I want people to be able to be led and go along with the storyline. So they need a certain amount of sort of acting ability to be able to work and sell. They need a certain amount of the skill to be able to fall and not hurt themselves, and also not hurt their opponent. Obviously, if someone walks in and they're 6'8" and built like a shit house door and they're huge, I'm going to try and get them in the ring as quick as I can. Do you know what I mean? Because they're the ones who are going to be on the poster. They're the ones who I'm going to put everything behind. And I know that sounds unfair, but that's fucking show business.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
You lead your strongest foot, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You have to.
It's not just that you don't see many 6'8" people walking around. So if you
if you manage to get one, do you know what I mean? Walk in, and or you get someone who's just jacked up to fuck, you know what I mean? And they, you get them out there straight away. Even if you just get them out there to hit someone once, or you have them as like a bodyguard for someone or whatever, you sort of get them out, because wrestling is it's weird. Even though there's a huge amount of skill involved in wrestling, and there are wrestlers who have got over and managed to be sort of champions out of their wrestling skills. Say someone like Eddie Guerrero, for example.
Yeah.
But it took him years and years and years and years to get to that point where he had his character down, and also he was an amazing wrestler. But someone like Brock Lesnar came in. Obviously, he was an amazing talent, but the way he looked, they fast tracked him to get to where he needs to be, right? And they luckily he was an amazing athlete and it worked. But sometimes it doesn't work. Like you'll get someone like the reason I'm picking WWE guys is because if any of your podcast listeners are thinking of, it's no point in me talking about my guys because you don't know who they are. But if I like someone like the Ultimate Warrior, they looked at him and they fast tracked him to be the champion when he wasn't particularly ready, or he was never particularly good at wrestling. But it didn't really matter because when I was a kid, I remember the Ultimate Warrior fucking running down, shaking the ropes, huge, giant, jacked up motherfucker, looks like he could kill you and looks like he wants to kill you and kill everyone. And a promoter's going to look at him and see that's money. Do you know what I mean? So they're going to want to get them out as quick as possible. So as a promoter, as a promoter of wrestling, it's difficult because you do want people to be ready, to be able to look after themselves, to have a character, to have a bit of a gimmick, to have their own, some decent gear, and then you can get them out there and work with more experienced people and learn how to work in front of people, how to wrestle in front of people. But sometimes if someone comes in and you can see their money, you do tend to fast track them a bit.
Makes sense.
But I will say something to if there's any trainees who are listening to this, like a little bit of advice is, whilst you're learning how to wrestle, fucking go to the gym. Right, so if it takes you 6 months to get in that ring, you'll have 6 months training behind you. So you're going to look better and you're going to look fitter than you did before you started. So get a gym membership when you start wrestling. Okay, then you'll start looking a bit better. After a while, when you're ready and you're trained, right, make sure you get some decent gear as well. Like there's nothing, you need gear when you wrestle. Like you need to go out there and look like a wrestler or have a gimmick that works. So make sure you got some decent gear as well, and it's like any job. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So just turn up to any training seminars, and go to different schools as well. You don't have to stay in one environment. There's quite a few wrestling schools out there. Some are bad, some are good. And if anyone ever wanted to fucking message me or email me and ask me my opinion, I'd give them an honest opinion. I'm not going to sit here and bash other promotions, but there are some big promotions out there which but there's people who shouldn't be coaching at all. They're going to fucking end up killing someone. But there are some good schools out there and some good coaches. You go out there, and learn from these people. And if you do have someone like doing a special seminar, make sure you catch them and talk to them and ask them advice, because that's the way you get on in any job. You just fucking you have to learn. And the thing about wrestling, which is why people get, I think, when it gets in your blood and you can't stop doing it, like you get to an age, you never like learn the trade completely. It's never you can't complete wrestling. It's not like it's not like I'm the best wrestler in the world now. I can now retire and job done. It's you can always be better, and that's the thing. You can always be better. You can be a fucking great wrestler and make money like the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, all those sort of guys, but even they could still be better. You never ever fucking complete it. You never ever sort of get to the peak of the job, and that's the amazing thing about about wrestling. You're constantly learning. Even I learn every show, every training session I do. I'm always learning from other people, and that the things they do well or the mistakes they make. I'm always learning, and even like I say, even 20 years in the job, constantly fucking learning about it. So it's just a fucking. I know you're sort of going back. I've sort of gone off topic here, but it's that's why it gets in your blood, and you can't stop it because you can't complete the fucking job.
Like you say, it's like that saying of like simple to learn, but impossible to master. I mean, simple is a very broad term there, but you know what I'm saying.
You learn the fundamentals and have a little match and blah blah blah. But to get to the top of the business and truly understand it, it's hard work. It takes a lot, years. And it takes years, and you have to understand as well that it's not about how good you are at the wrestling. It's you're a showman. Do you know what I mean? You are a showman. You are a product.
Yeah.
So if you make yourself the best product, then you're going to get the most exposure, and that's why people always talk about politics. And when I think about politics in wrestling, I do sort of think to myself, well, it does sort of make sense that people are trying to sort of backstab each other to earn the most money for their family and their kids, and I mean, it's sort of like if you've got the best product and you have. Fucking force it, you know what I mean? Don't sit back and just wait for someone to notice you, because in wrestling that doesn't that might not happen. You need to sort of force yourself forward, and that's again advice for any new guys. Just fucking get out there and put yourself out there, and just make sure that people notice you, and then you'll start getting work. That's to be honest with you, that's how if you wanted to wrestle with Fallen Star Wrestling. If you came down and helped with the ring and said, I've been wrestling for a little while, blah, 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 I'll give you a chance and I'd watch you. And if I think that you add to the product, like someone like Sassy Bear, he just came down one day, he wrestled as Sledgehammer Betts for the first time he ever wrestled for me. I thought he was quite a good big guy. He said he had the other character, Sassy Bear, and when I saw that, he wasn't quite there with the character yet. He hadn't quite sort of, worked out how to do it. He worked out his entrance, but because he's got such a what do you call it, an outrageous character, he would do a few little cool things in the ring, but then the rest of the time he would just wrestle like a normal person in like odd in like colourful sort of exuberant clothes, but he'd wrestle like a normal person. He now, because he's been doing it for a while and he's had a lot of tips and a lot of help, his whole match is perfect because he wrestles like Sassy Bear the entire time, and that was what he needed to do. But what the point is, he just came up, helped with the ring, and asked if he could have a chance. I gave him a chance as one character, I gave him another chance as another one, and when I saw Sassy Bear, I thought that's going to add to our fucking product, and people are going to enjoy it. And lo and behold, he's one of our most popular wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's that's how. And I know it's only Fallen Star Wrestling, but if he goes and does that in other promotions. He if he has the confidence to go and do that, fucking awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like he's going to get some work because there's no one out there who's doing what he's doing as well as he's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
What is it? So we've had like a little bit of a conversation where you told us about your kind of journey up as an actual wrestler yourself, and so my biggest question, because for anyone who's going and watching out there. Jimmy's probably name dropping so many people that I don't actually know because
you want the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
I knew those.
And Brock.
So my wrestling knowledge kind of comes from when I was a lot younger. So years and years ago, thinking about it. So probably about 2004. We'll say 2004 to about 2007 was kind of my years of catching it every now and then. On the telly and all that kind of stuff, and going and watching a couple of matches, and I must admit those years I did absolutely love it, and then it kind of came that point where I never saw it again, so that's where I lost it.
You grew up.
Yeah.
You didn't stay fucking in that Peter Pan mode like most wrestlers do.
No. But so through your journey of wrestling, what would you guys say was probably your biggest match that you've probably ever had? That means a lot.
I was going to say, there's a lot there.
There's a lot of matches. I think it depends. It depends what you mean. Like what the biggest, means the much to me.
What means so much to you? So when you guys look back and you guys say, "Fucking hell, that was a match."
I've got two, and that one was a match against a guy called Jonathan Windsor. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but he had an amazing character. You know, he came out sort of with pomp and circumstance, like with the. He was like very much like William Regal with the with the robe and you know whatever. He wrestled as like sort of, you know, a really snooty posh type character. And I had a feud with him which lasted about a year, and it just culminated in a beautiful story, which was a loser leaves town match. And it was at Linsport, and it drew some decent numbers. It was a good house packed, and I got some colour. I bled everywhere, and I really bled bad. And the drama in the match was just. I could feel it. I could feel the drama in the match, and I could feel that we nailed it. I mean, we built up a year or so to this storyline, and the end of the match was that the Dark Wolf, Matt Walters, who was a good guy at the time, and we call that a babyface in wrestling. The term is babyface. So he was a babyface, and it was known to the crowd that we'd known each other for years. We were friends. He was a part of Fallen Star Wrestling. Blah blah blah, and he turned on me in the match, and he came in like he was going to hit Windsor with a chair, but he turned and he twatted me with a chair. I lost the match, so I had to leave town, and no one expected that result. And it was like that sometimes in wrestling, when people are genuinely invested in a match and you've really got them, you'll do the finish of the match, you'll get the pin, and then there's silence because they can't fucking believe it. Total silence, like, fuck me, Jimmy's like going. He's fucking leaving. Yeah. He's lost his business. He's fucked. And then the boos come because obviously you don't want it to happen. So then, like so that leads to my next favourite match, which was I kept coming into the show. We did it like I kept coming into the shows and fucking up people's matches. Like I would fuck up the Dark Wolf's match, and if Windsor was around, I'd fuck his match up. Yeah. And I'd refuse to leave because I didn't lose fairly. Do you know what I mean? As a loser leaves town. If I got pinned, I come in and I'd cut a promo, and I said if I fucking lost this business fairly, if I lost a match fairly, you wouldn't hear from me. But my best friend fucking turned on me. And we've known each other for years, and I don't get what he's trying to do. He's trying to take the business away from me. I'm not going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't fucking lose fairly, and that was the way. That was the sort of infamy to keep coming back. I think actually in that loser leaves town match, I fucking wrestled more than ever. We're like trying to get to this point where me and Matt had a ladder match for the FSW, for the rights to own the company again. Yeah. So basically, the gimmick was we had a briefcase up in the hanging from the rafters, which contained all the documents for Fallen Star Wrestling. So whoever climbed that ladder and grabbed that case was the winner of the match, right? And that match is on YouTube. The one with Windsor, there's like a sort of 3-minute breakdown and clip of the match. So the full match isn't on there. I don't know where the full match is, but the ladder match with me and Matt Waters is on there, and I think it's a really good ladder match. I really do. Have you seen it?
We've gone back and watched it.
Because obviously it was 2021 we started.
21, yeah, because we come back.
That was 2015. That match.
Yeah.
So when we actually started the first couple of sessions that we did, we went and watched a few matches on the channel and looked at other ones on other channels.
Who's been here? Who's who? Where's everybody's got a foothold, and what's their characters? What's their stick basically?
To find out more about the company basically.
We
didn't realise until we went to Linsport basically and realised with the whole stage setup. We realised with that ladder match with Matt Walls was the first thing we saw of you. And we saw, I think it was 2018 maybe, something like that.
I mean, we've obviously with YouTubing. Like guys, really, we've tried to. Hello, YouTube.
There you go.
That's the one. But we kind of discovered something. I know a few people will definitely know of it. It's been shouted out by some major YouTubers, and it's a channel called Botchamania.
Right.
Who He's
I'm
a
wearing the t-shirt.
He's an
It's-
advocate for the business, apparently. Now,
So it's that little bit of like the
Well, the Botchamania, like the all the fuck ups that bloke does, that
Yes.
Matthew bloke does.
yeah. He goes through them and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
puts them all out and puts them all in that video. And we noticed in there that there is actually a clip from Falling Star Wrestling.
Oh, is there?
it was that ladder match, the finish of that ladder match, because I think the thing fell off, didn't it?
It
fell off
did,
and hit the
yeah,
floor.
yeah.
But we didn't know
We-
that, so
we had
when
no
we started
idea,
watching
and
the
then-
match back, when we was watching all the clips back, it was like,
We've seen this
That's-
before. Like
that was Jimmy. It was like, that was Jimmy.
we had no
We didn't even
idea
know.
until we sort of
Well,
went,
until you just told me, I didn't realise I was on Botchamania. Honestly, I didn't. Honestly, I've always tried to make that. I never do enough moves to warrant a botch. But yeah, it was the case of the clip broke and I fucking the case dropped to the ground. Luckily, it didn't open, and then I just jumped off the ladder and grabbed it. But it didn't fuck the match up. To
no,
be honest.
goodness,
no,
like you
but
said, the whole
obviously-
match up to that point.
yeah,
is,
yeah,
you built that drama.
yeah.
It's not even a human watch, really. That's why
No,
it's
like you
just
say,
mechanical, it's
you
just-
dropped something.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
human nature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Shit
just
happens.
basically, and the clip. I think honestly, I don't think it was my watch. I think the clip was the botch. The clip broke, but
Yeah.
whatever the game is, it doesn't matter. I don't care whether I dropped it. It makes no difference. It was that match. If you watch the whole match, I think that it built really nicely. It was a really good ladder match, and you know we put a lot of thought into that. And again, it was sort of like we even carried on the feud after that, but. You know, this is sort of 18-month feud revolving around sort of 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And that was sort of where I was learning how to tell stories. Do you know what I mean? With the wrestlers, you know, and how to, you know, do proper story arcs and have, you know, dips where bad shit happens, like I lose town and you know I have to leave town, and I'm covered in claret and my best mate has turned on me and it's all fucked up, and you leave the crowd feeling like shit, but they come back for the next bit because they see, oh, Jimmy's got a chance to get back at the company, let's see what happens. So you have to create like a soap opera, you know, you can't leave the crowd fucking happy every time, because if you did, they wouldn't come back. It was the reason I love those 2 matches is because it was in the middle of they were both good matches, actually genuinely good matches. You know, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that just as a piece of work. But I'm more proud of the story arc that went into that. Like I said, that was a good 18-month, 2 years we got out of like 3 or 4 guys. Me, Matt Windsor, a guy called Kenny Mack, and he started getting involved in the story as well. And you know, we got so much fucking time out of that. It was great. It really was a great storyline.
I mean, jumping on the back of that, like you're saying, that the storytelling. Now, obviously, we grew up and sort of watched American style wrestling, so that's very much, you know, storytelling narrative, and that's what drives the whole thing going forward. But obviously, in the UK, we've got the independent scene. So again, that's sort of what separated Falling Star Wrestling to me, is the fact that we are taking that sort of longer storytelling. We're focused on that. Which again, independent wrestling does have that, and there are long-term rivalries that spread across several promotions. But it seems like because we're focused on that now, it's kind of becoming what Falling Star is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, even though it's a very, very small one, we've actually built a bit of a territory.
Yeah.
So people can come to all of our shows and they know the nucleus, the big one, is Linsport. And there's obviously people who just come to Linsport, and there's people who just come to West Lynn, but we've got about sort of 70 to 80 people who turn up regularly, and obviously, you know, when you've got 70 to 80 people in West Lynn, it's quite a busy show. Yeah. We've got a venue that we do once a month, so we can tell storylines, do promos and whatnot, and give you guys the opportunity, the guys who are training at the FSW Academy, gives you guys the opportunity to have some matches on the show in front of people in an environment that you're familiar with, which is handy. And then we do a show somewhere else. You know, we tend to do Outwell, we do Heach, and we sort of like cover West Norfolk. You know, we and obviously we do the West Linns every month, Lynn Sport. We do in Watlington and whatnot. So we do quite a lot of, you know, venues, but they're all within sort of 30 miles of Kings Lynn. Kings Lynn. So we've built, like I said, we've done like what the old school Americans did, but in a much smaller way.
Yeah.
Built up a territory where people can follow us, and so we can tell storylines because we got Wesleyan once a month to really do the promos and stuff, and then we've got the sort of bigger shows where we're out in the community, putting on sort of like bigger matches and getting, you know, having payoffs to some of the matches, having, you know, conclusions, having you know, extending matches, you know, so you constantly, you know, constantly telling a story. There's a thread there, and then by the time we get to Linsport, the big matches have the big blow-offs. You know, that's where we put all of our effort into, you know, normally finishing off storylines or starting storylines. But to be honest with you, I think that now, because people are aware of that, you know, we're going to make Linsport our biggest show. We'll always make it our big show and put the bells and whistles on it and have really good, amazing matches. But I think, you know, I might start surprising the crowd with a few sort of title changes in the Westlands and the smaller shows, because keep people on their feet. So it's not like, oh, we'll just go to Linsport because that's where all the big shit happens. No. We're going to do it in other venues as well. So, you know, that sort of makes sense to me. You know, to try and, you know,
people around a little bit more.
Exactly. It's like, you can't miss any shows. Because you have no fucking idea what's going to happen. And keep people on their toes. And that's, you know, if you do any kind of like what's the word, sort of consultation with the fans, talk to the fans, and you ask them, you know, what do you like best about the wrestling? They always say the surprise. Do you know what I mean? Like the
big move that comes out of nowhere.
Well, it's not necessarily a move. It's more the storylines. It's more like, moments. Fuck me, who's gonna who's won and why have they won and what's gonna go on and what's this, and it's or a surprise, someone coming out or something like that. They just love being surprised and having their, you know, they go in with an expectation of what's sort of going to happen, who's going to win, especially like our regular fans. And people they don't like. There's people like it's so fucking funny, because like we've got crowds like who come to the show. They know a lot of the guys because the kids either train or they just sort of met them, and you know, they outside the shows. And you know, our wrestlers we sort of don't keep in character once the show's done. Once the show's done, the ring needs to come down. We all need to pack away. Like things need to come down. So. You know, it's difficult to keep in character, and the crowd sometimes are still there. So they'll talk to Paul, like, and they'll be nice, and Paul's really kind. You know, this is one. I'm like, this is just giving you giving you an idea of one of my wrestlers. He's really nice. He's really kind. You know, he'll do anything for anyone. He's one of the nicest blokes in the world. But as Mitch Basher, the bad guy, the heel, he is fucking horrible, right? And the crowd hates him, and they genuinely dislike him. And I love that, because that we've got it to the point where they suspend their disbelief enough, and they sort of leave their fucking, you know, they sort of leave their opinions at the door, come in and just fucking get involved, you know, because if the crowd aren't involved, then the show sucks. So, you know, they get involved as much as the wrestlers do sometimes, and that's what makes the atmosphere of the show so amazing. So someone like, you know, when Paul's Paul, everyone's nice to him, but when he's Mitch Basher, they fucking lose their shit and hate him. Or, you know, and that's not just him, that's with a lot of the bad guys and the good guys as well. You know, I hate it. I've had it before, where especially in King's Lynn, when I walk down the street and someone goes, Jimmy Starr, hey, come up to me, fucking, give you a hug, sometimes want an autograph, and like, I'm no one, like, really, on the scale of things. I'm not anyone fucking special, and I never have claimed to be. So I find that quite embarrassing. But they believe you are who you are in the ring, and that's what you want. I mean, if you can achieve that as a wrestler, you fucking won the battle, because they believe you are who you are, and that's so important. You know, to have that real solid character based, based, just based really, because it you know, if you know, take Mitch Basher again. If people believe that Mitch Basher is a real arsehole, you know, and they genuinely believe it, they're going to enjoy the match so much more, or hate the match so much more when he cheats and all that sort of stuff. They get into it. Do you know what I mean? And they genuinely believe it, and I love that. I love it when they genuinely believe it. It's when they do something and they almost think, like, Paul's so nice, and then he turns into this fucking absolute arsehole, and he does this fucking terrible shit to people, and then fucking he's taking down the ring, and he's fucking as sound as a pound.
So all the kids round him wanting to...
exactly.
He's great.
There was one promo he did over one of the West End shows, and it was like he was trying to get everyone to hate him, but he lost his voice that day.
Before you stop! Let me make this clear! Switch off now!
That was a Christmas show, wasn't it?
I took the piss out of him. In the ring, I started mimicking him. That was fun.
That's a good one.
That
I'll
was
see if I can
good.
find a clip of that.
That was a good match, actually.
I enjoyed that.
That was really good, because that was the hardcore one, wasn't it? That was the...
Oh yeah, we did. It was like
a
a family hardcore thing. It was like we called it what was it called? The Christmas bash or something like that.
Something.
I think that was what the match was. But I think we might make that an annual thing, a Christmas bash match, because it was fun. But you know, it's again, you know, it's like anything. It's like the reason people watch soaps or films or sequels and things like that. They want to see what's going to happen next. People always want to see what, and that's the thing with wrestling. Like, once you've done your first show, once you've done your show, you know, shake each other's hand and fucking, you know, go, "Wait, what a fucking good show!" But you got to be on to the next one.
Yeah,
the minute your fucking match ends and you get your cheers or boos or whatever, bang, forget about it. We got to go to the next one now. Next step. So you always have to think ahead. You know what I mean? Or sometimes storylines just fucking sort of embryonically just fucking evolve, and they're normally the fucking best ones. Because, you know, they're just like, shit, this has suddenly happened. These fucking guys are really work as a tag team, or these guys fucking, you know, this guy suddenly really got his arse in gear and is like with Higgs and Rashwood becoming the Sound.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Higgs went from not being on a West Lynn show, not being on a Lynn Sport show, and sort of watching the crowd and you know, and I think that gave him a bit of a kick up the arse. And now the next fucking West Lynn, he's winning the tag team championships with Bobby Adams, and you know, that gave him the kick up the arse to become that character. And you know, we spoke to me about it, and you know, decided that he wanted to give it a go. And I'm never gonna fucking suppress people's, like, you know, ideas. We'll see how they go. If they don't go well, I can add some ideas or add some support, or more experienced people can. You'll see how it goes. But you know, he fucking took the ball and ran with that. And the Sound are probably the most hated tag team in Fallen Star Wrestling at the moment. And fucking, you know, that Higgsy, you know, obviously Ed's worked really hard as well. Ed's a wrestler. He's like the fucking, you know, he's the Arn Anderson. He's the guy who gets in there and does the wrestling and kicks ass. Biggsy's the one who runs away and hides, but has got the big trap. Do you know what I mean? Fucking beautiful little scenario. Lovely tag team. Works beautifully. It's a fantastic dynamic, and you can fucking draw so much heat out of that and get so many storylines out of that with different tag teams depending on what their characters are. So you know, there's just so many possibilities, and that came out of nothing. That came out of, I think, a bit of a kick up the arse from Higgsy, and then me just saying, "Yeah, go on, let's run with it and see what happens."
Yeah.
And I can't remember giving him much support. We might have had a few match ideas or anything like that, but you know, Higgsy did a lot of that on his own. Well, you know, and I'm fucking proud of it.
Oh, he took the ball and ran with it.
It's superb. It's a superb little team, and you know, and again, a team that the crowd genuinely hate, and they've got the tag team belts, and you know that Higgsy's going to boast about it. Sorry, Rashford's going to boast about it. You know that he's going to sit there and say we're the best, and you know that he's going to run away and fucking Bobby Adams is going to do the work. Do you know what I mean? Or you know that his missus outside is going to fucking cheat. You know, it's just and there's so many cool little stories and little tweaks and things that you can do to, you know, keep having them win, keep getting them over. You know, it's just so that just sort of that's an example of, you know, how a character can just fucking zoom right up to the top if someone's got a good idea and a good character that works.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, because there's obviously with wrestling, people aren't aware of exactly what hurts and how much it hurts, really. But have you ever had a situation where you've gone into a match, you've agreed to a move, you've taken the move and you're safe, you're fine, and then immediately afterwards thought, I never want to take that again?
There's moves I hate taking.
Yeah.
Right. So there's moves I don't take well and I don't like taking. One of them's a spine buster. If someone has a spine buster as a move, I would normally say there's no, unless it's a really special fucking situation. I'll say no, because I always bang my head. I don't know how to take it and it hurts. It really fucking hurts. I always knock my fucking dick stiff. I can't fucking, you know. It hurts.
That's a trick, that is.
Just for my purpose, what is a spine buster?
So basically, there's a few variations of the move, but say you pick someone up under the armpits, they wrap their legs around your sort of waist, and then the person either goes on their legs, the person either goes on their arse or they normally kneel down, they just slam you down to the mat. So if you imagine someone like jumping up and hugging you, and then just slamming you down on the floor as hard as you can.
Yeah.
That's sort of what a spine buster is, you know, in a way. But there are different variations.
Yeah.
You know, Triple H has his like usual like it's funny, like John Cena got all that 5 moves of doom stuff, but Triple H has 5 moves. But it's part of Triple H's thing. Like they do the thing with the ropes with a high knee, and like then he do the one where he do the face buster, and then the guy would run off the ropes, and he had the spine buster who picks him up. And, if you don't know, Triple H would probably be the best way for you to realise.
So I hate taking that move. There was a situation once, and this wasn't anything to do with the spine buster. This was a real simple move, but it's probably the most frightened I've ever been in a wrestling ring, because I've broken things and had concussion and whatever. That's just part and parcel of the job, you know. And sometimes you don't really realise until afterwards because of the adrenaline. But one thing that really fucked me up once, I can't remember where we were wrestling. It wasn't a particularly big show, and it was fairly early on in my career, maybe sort of, you know, fucking 2-3 years in. But we're just wrestling, blah blah blah, doing a bit. And I took a snapmare. Now I landed when you take do you know what a snapmare is?
No.
So a snapmare is a simple move. We use it in wrestling a lot. So you grab someone round the sort of over the top of the head. So this would be my hand. Your head would be here. My hand would be over the top. I've dropped on a knee and I'll just flip you over and maybe put you in a move. Okay, it's not a big move. It's sort of like you know, you can make it count and make it look good, and you always should. And put it in the right place, but it's sort of a move. You see, it's not a finisher. You put it early in the match, and it's a simple move that everyone takes all the time. Now you can take it 2 ways. Safe. You can either land on your back and then set up like a back bump and fall on your back, or you can flip over to your ass and take an ass bump. And you know, it hurts, but it's okay. They're the 2 safe ways to do it. I tend to nowadays definitely take up my back after this. But what happened was, for some reason, I went to take it on my arse. Again, much younger, much thinner, much fitter. But I flipped over, and I hit sort of like I hit like my base of my spine, like sort of above my coccyx, and my fucking legs went numb, just totally numb.
Yeah.
And fucking like dead numb. Like you could have stuck a fucking skewer through my thigh and I wouldn't have felt it at that particular time. And the guy sat me up and put me in a hold. The guy I was wrestling, I can't remember who I was wrestling. I really wish I could. It might have been Marty Skull. I want to say it's Marty Skull, but it might not have been. I don't know. I used to wrestle him a lot back in the day. That's probably why I'm saying it. So, and he's put me in a chin lock, and I've said, whoever it is, I said, my fucking legs are numb. And the guy's gone, what? I said, I can't move my legs. So fucking I just said, keep me in a hold and just see what happens, because I heard at that point in wrestling there's a thing called stingers, where you hit a nerve in your back, your spinal cord hits your spinal column, and it sort of bruises it, but you get your feeling back, and that's what I hoped it was, and that's what it ended up being. I started feeling like fire. It felt like my legs were on fire, and then it started tingling, and then I got the feeling back, and we carried on wrestling. And I didn't have it like a bruise or anything like that. Years and years and years later, I had an MRI scan on my back, and because it was fucked. And there was a little like shadow, a black shadow on the base of my spine, and they said, the woman said, have you ever fucking had any injury like when you back or broke your back or done anything bad sort of thing? I said, well, I'm a wrestler, so I probably sort of fell and blah blah blah, fell on it or whatever. And then I remembered that, because it was years later and I weren't thinking about it, I remembered that snap there, and I think it's left a nice little black mark on my spinal column, because if you bruise your spinal column, if you bruise it, you'll get a mark and it never goes. It stays there. And my back, and she also said, this is the thing about wrestlers' backs, because we land on our back so much. It's a bit like builders, right? When they're because they fucking use their hands so much, they get big old hands and they get all calcified, and they can fucking lift the bricks and it doesn't hurt their hands. Your body adapts to what you do, right? Yeah. Same with wrestling, with bumps. Yeah, your back starts to calcify, so so it gets you, because you're being slammed so much. That's why wrestlers suffer with such bad back pain, because then their discs go a lot, because the gel that's meant to be protecting the discs in your back calcifies, because you've been slammed so much on the fucking floor. That they were a couple of scary moments, but moves. Not really. I've known that I'm not the best athlete in the world, even when I was young and fit and thin, or when I was in good shape and sort of half muscly. I knew what I was good at and what I wasn't good at, and if you're aware of that and you're not afraid to speak up and say, it's probably better you do this move on me rather than this move, because I don't think I'll take it as well. Yeah. Then I know that I can. Back in the day, I used to be able to take a really good back body drop, so I would always suggest to people that looks pretty spectacular to just a kid who doesn't really fucking know much about wrestling, or a fan, just nice big back body drop. I used to take a nice hip toss, give me a big old hip toss, blah blah blah. Like the sort of foundation moves, I was always fine with. But when people started thinking of things to drop people on their head and shit like that, that's where I was like, if I don't know you, I don't trust you, and I'm not being funny. I don't know, I don't even know if you can fucking lock up properly, so I'm not going to let you drop me on my head. And it's as simple as that. That takes trust. I sometimes use the pile driver, but I'll only use it on people that because pile driver is basically the person doing it and the person taking it need to know what they're doing. So I'll only do it on people who I know I've taught the pile driver and that trust me, and I trust them to take it. I wouldn't just say we were wrestling in a cut. I wouldn't just pick you up and say, right, cool, pile driver, because it's not fair on you. You might not know how to take it. You might arch your head back, and I might not sit properly, and then boom, you've got a compound fucking fracture, and you're fucking you're eating your fucking dinner for a straw. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's and that's the thing about wrestling. Like, it's fucking dangerous, and and again, like, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, I apologise, but smart marks who are wrestling and fucking have the cheek to judge matches, give people fucking 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever, when they haven't fucking stepped foot in a ring, is like me going over to a heart surgeon and fucking watching him do the operation and telling him he's doing it wrong when I don't know fuck all about heart surgery. Yeah. Or even if I'd watched 1,000 heart surgeries but never performed one, I still don't think I've got the right to tell that fucking doctor who's actually doing the work how to do it, even if I understand it. And that's the thing about smart marks, because they understand how. They know things like about bumping, and they know like about calling stuff in the ring, and they know you know, the fucking, you know, they think they know, but they don't.
Yeah.
You can't truly know about this job until you're immersed in it.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're in the job, then you have a right to fucking criticize it, or you have a right to talk about it. You know, if you're a fan, watch it and enjoy it, and if you don't like it, then that's fair enough. Like when I watch a film, right, if I don't enjoy it, you know, it's a taste. Normally it's a taste thing. Some films are made badly and amateurish and all that sort of shit and put together badly, but you know, if I watch Titanic and don't enjoy it, I'm not going to have the cheek to turn around and go, oh, it's shit, and pick the bits I don't like out of it, because that's my opinion, right? There might be people who absolutely love the movie. I've obviously got a right to an opinion, but I haven't got a right to fucking write online that the fucking, you know, I have to write to James Cameron and say, right, you should have put the camera here. And what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I weren't there. I don't know how to make films. Well, I fucking just didn't particularly like it. That's my taste, right? If you don't like wrestling, fair enough. If you like wrestling and you're a fan, don't fucking rubbish it, okay? Let's all work together, the fans and the wrestlers and the fucking, you know, everyone involved in the show. Let's all work together to try and get fucking more eyes on the product rather than criticise it. You know, when me and Shawnee do a silly thing now where we just rate every match 5 stars, right?
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
We're going to do that forever. We'll give our opinion, but we'll give every match 5 stars. Just for the fucking effort of getting in the ring. To have the balls to get in the ring.
Yeah, that's fair.
And even have a match that totally fucking sucks, really. Yeah. If you've got the balls to get in the ring and you've fucking been trained and you have a go and you try it and you do it, I think you deserve fucking 5 stars for having the bollocks to do it. People who watch and criticise something that they've never done before, I can't think of another sport or entertainment where the fans are so vicious about the product. I mean, like, obviously people fucking sit in the pub and they have their fucking opinions on football. Oh, they should have played fucking Johnny so they should have done this. But when they go to support their team, they support their team, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they might not agree with the fucking plays and this and that and the other, but they don't go and sit there and fucking write about the players and completely fucking, you know, tear them apart unless they've done something like in the World Cup, missed a penalty or something like that. Normally, but that, you know, the things
that's
like
fair game.
Things like that, things like that are fucking like that's big news, right?
Exactly.
But it's rare. But in wrestling, it's not. Every single show that's out there, there's some fucking smart mark standing there, sitting there watching his product with his arms folded, watching it like, you know, he knows exactly what's going on. And you know, that's get in the ring, take some fucking bumps. Run those fucking ropes.
Let Jimmy do a pile driver.
Let me do a pile driver to you. And fucking, and I might not fucking take as much care of you as I would, you know.
I will drop you on your head.
Do you know what? I've done that a few times. I remember once we did a show, it was just a training show, right? I used to do, a few years back, the school in Kingsley and I can't remember the name. It's got Kingsley Academy, that was it. They used to let us on a Sunday have one of the back halls, and what we'd do is one Sunday we'd train all day, and then the next Sunday we'd put on an academy show. It was free, right? It was just for friends and family. We didn't ever get too many people in, but sometimes you'd just get strays walking in and having a look at what we were doing. And there was about 4 or 5 teenagers that walked in, and there was a couple of girls and a couple of lads, and obviously the lads were trying to impress the girls, and one lad was so fucking loud and disrespectful. That's fake, that's bollocks, you didn't touch him, the fucking wrestling ring's like a trampoline, blah blah blah, diddly do. So when the show finished, I never used to wrestle on the show. I'd MC him or whatever. Occasionally I'd get in, but normally, you know, it was for the trainees. It was, you know, just a 2-weekly show just to get fucking used to having matches, you know. So, you know, the shows sometimes weren't great, you know what I mean, but they weren't meant to be. People are learning. So, you know, and these kids were just fucking, and one of them was so obnoxious and offensive and being so rude and disrespectful. At the end, I said, buddy, like I was being nice, right? hey buddy, do you want to, like, as soon as the ring's up, and obviously, do you want to see like how bouncy it is, because it's like it's really fucking fun in here. It's like a trampoline, and the lad's got in, and he's sort of standing on it, and he's going, oh, it's a little bit hard now for. I said, yeah, jump up in the air and land on your back. Just jump up as high as you can in the air and land on your back. And he did it, and it hurt. And then I picked him up as soon as he fucking took that bump. I picked him up, and I did about 5 body slams on him. And after the 5th one, he started crying, and he rolled out of the ring, and he went, "You're a fucking arsehole, you're a piece of shit, you're a cunt." And they all left and walked out the door. And I thought, I hope this fucking guy's dad comes back, because I'll kill him if he does. Sometimes, right, I've got a really, really long fuse, right, I'm really quite calm, I tend not to get annoyed, but when that fuse is gone, I want to kill people. And on that particular occasion, I was about a 30-year-old man beating up a sort of 15-year-old kid. I wasn't beating him up, I was just body slamming him. But obviously he didn't know how to bump, he didn't know how to take it. I was just picking him up and slamming him. But I just don't know a job where the fans feel they have the right to be so disrespectful to the people who are putting their lives on the line. This is another thing, right? When people are, if you want to fucking tear apart your football team, or tear apart your rugby team, or tear apart whatever, those guys are going out there and they're working their bollocks off, and they're playing a sport, and they're fucking, if you tear them apart, it's wrong. It's still wrong. But those guys aren't risking their lives. Do you know what I mean? We're risking our lives every time. It's such a fucking dangerous thing to do. Professional wrestling. It's so dangerous. That, like I said, to have the balls to get in the ring and do it, you deserve fucking 5 stars, right? You deserve to be fucking acknowledged as someone who's got, as someone who's got the balls to do it. And for anyone who stands there and looks at the product and has no fucking real knowledge of how we do things, how we do the job, and to rip it apart, it does, and it has started to annoy me. I keep my mouth shut and I keep quiet because I'm a professional, and I got a business, and I wouldn't ever start Facebook rows and shit like that. I'm not that kind of person. But as we're speaking fucking candidly and honestly on this podcast, I do believe that the wrestling fans, Falling Star Wrestling's got some amazing wrestling fans, and I'm so pleased and happy about that. I'm not pissing on our fans at all, but there are certain people out there who are determined to rip the product apart, and that is not right.
Like you say, when it is such a commitment to, like you say, you are risking your life every time you step through them ropes. Do you know what I mean? One bad whip of the head, that's it, concussion. Do you know what I mean? You don't know how dangerous those things can be.
I think we've had a few cracks and clicks and stuff. So I get it obviously is predetermined. Like, that's not, do you know what I mean?
That's common knowledge.
But it's not just that, like with any sport, there's other sports where it's like, oh, this is the actual game, and it lasts from this minute to that minute, and it's set. But there's no set times with wrestling. Nothing's set other than maybe, this guy's going to have the belt at the end, maybe, and that's the only.
Well, and the other thing is, like, what people don't think. They think what the word that annoys me and is being used quite a lot about wrestling now is it's choreographed, and it's like, well, no, it isn't, because we don't sit there and have the opportunity to. It'd be nice if we did. But you don't sit there and have the opportunity to get in the ring and fucking work everything out and practice it. Yeah, we literally fucking have a little bit of a chat about what we're gonna do. Right. So for me personally, because I plan a lot. Because when I started, just quickly going back to when I started, I was trained by a lot of the old World of Sport guys who, the ones who weren't dead were training me. So I learnt the old school way of wrestling in rounds, and it's a totally different psychology of doing it. So wrestling in rounds, a lot of technical wrestling, no real huge moves, but just actually making it look like a competition. That's what I wanted. And my first sort of 10, 11 matches. Well, I had a few battle royals and I had a few tags with WAW, but when I went on to drop kicks, I would say that my first sort of 10 matches were in rounds, like the old school rounds, and no real heel or baby face, just get in there and make it look like a row, So going back to fuck, I've lost my thread. What were we talking about?
Choreography.
Choreography,
You mean,
that's it, yeah. So when I started, like literally, you would work out the fall. So you'd work out what move you were going to get, because it was 2 falls, to win. So it was best of 3, always best of 3. So I came up when I'm doing rounds, best of 3, totally different psychology, but literally you just went in there and did it, and you listened to the crowd and you took the match the way the crowd wanted it to go. So you sort of, you were either leading them or they were leading you, but it was improvised, right? People don't realise how much of wrestling is improvised, and like I said, when I wrestle, and now I'm in a tag, it's different. But when I used to wrestle in a single as a singles, I very rarely would plan a start with anyone. I'd just say, let's just get in there because I want to feel it out. I want to see where the crowd are. Okay, and you can't do that, I don't think, if you plan the start, because you go out there, you plan the start, and if they don't like it, you're fucked, right? Yeah. So let's just go out there, feel it, okay? And then what I would do is I would normally give someone a move, which was the cue for them, if I'm a good guy, for them to get the heat on me, to start beating me up, right? Yeah. So I would take my shine, do whatever, I call it in the ring, improvise until that cut-off came, and then the rest of it will be improvised, and then we normally plan a bit of a finish, okay? Yeah. So the finish, obviously the finish has to be planned, and then normally needs to be a bit of a lead up to it. So you'd work that bit out, but you wouldn't fucking practice it. You wouldn't have a chance to practice it. You just talk about it. So when I go into my matches as a singles wrestler, I plan literally a cut-off and the finish. That's all I plan. Now, my matches aren't hugely exciting in terms of moves and all that sort of stuff, but I always manage to entertain people, right? So, and that's because I go out there and feel out the crowd. I feel them out. I want to see what kind of crowd we got. Nowadays with Falling Star Wrestling, I normally know before I go out in the curtain. But back in the day, when I was going around and doing the circuit, I didn't know who the fuck I was wrestling in front of. I didn't know what they wanted to see. Did they want to see brawling? Did they want to see some real fucking gritty action? Did they want to see a bit of comedy? Did they want to see this? Did they want to see that? You need to be able to feel it out. And I'm very, very lucky that I came up when I did, and there was still the old school guys who was like, we don't play fuck all, just the falls, like, and no one had a finisher. It was just like, first fall, sunset flip, beat me then with you fucking give me a roll up for the next pin, and then in round 5 I'll win with a fucking a fucking suplex or something. Yeah. So it was because it was based on a fight, right? So it was and when you don't plan stuff, you can't fuck up.
Yeah,
that's true.
If you don't plan something, you can't fuck up. Some things might look a bit scrappy, and it might not look quite as nice and floaty and fucking and leapy and sleepy and whatever, but it'll look fucking real.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that you can, if you listen and you're experienced enough, like I say, I'm 20 years in this job now. I know I can go out and entertain any crowd, and that's not boasting. It's just experience from the job. Yeah. I'm shit at everything else in the world apart from wrestling. I get wrestling. I get the job. I get being a wrestler, and now I'm starting to get being a promoter. And it's taken a while, but it's just a fucking difficult job to get your head around. So but that's why I don't like the word choreograph, because I ain't choreographing shit. I've never really got in the ring and fucking say. The only time I've ever done it is when you're doing stuff like that TLC or that ladder match or something like that. You have to plan that sort of shit because it's dangerous. There's tables, there's ladders. You're doing dangerous spots.
Yeah.
You need to know, when people are doing stuff, so you don't take away from, what's going on in the ring or the big dangerous spot that's about to happen. You sort of have to know when to go, if that makes sense. Yeah. So you do your bit, that's planned.
Yeah.
You fucking roll out, then you know when to come in for the next bit. You sort of plan it that way. You can't remember the whole match, because otherwise you would just get flustered and forget your bit. You remember the bit before you need to do your bit, and then you go in and remember your bit. So if that half makes sense. So those sorts of matches, ladder matches, TLCs, all that sort of shit, you probably find them more choreographed in a way, but not choreographed in a way where we do it beforehand, because choreographed to me sounds like it sounds like Strictly Come Dancing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've
Yeah,
had all
it's
week
that.
to practice that dance, and then they go and practice it. Well, if you're a professional wrestler, you're fucking wrestling every day, a different person every day, sometimes twice a day. How the fuck can you choreograph that?
It's been lovely going and talking to you. I've learned a lot, obviously, about you and Falling Star, and like I said, I really want to go and come down to a show, and I really want to go and see it, and I hope that anyone that's watched it out there also wants to go and come down and see a show. If you just want to quickly go and let everyone know all your socials and all that kind of stuff, so that way they can find and follow you.
We've got a Facebook page, obviously Falling Star Wrestling on Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. I'm not too sure how that Twitter works because I don't use it. We do have a Twitter. We've got a very talented young man who runs our social media. We've got Instagram as well. But our Facebook page has got pretty much all of our information on it. We have Falling Star Wrestling Training Academy, which is every Wednesday at at Linsport Leisure Park. So that's every Wednesday 7 till 9. Costs £10 for the session. Come and give it a go. If you don't like it, then you fucking tried it. You can't, I think that, you definitely get my respect for giving it a go. That's the hardest thing, walking through that door. So every Wednesday we do that. Every show that we do, we always do a training seminar before in the ring. So, for example, we're at West Lynn this weekend, which is the 12th of November. We've got Johnny Storm coming down to take a seminar. We get there at 11 o'clock, we set up early, and then we start training. We train till 5, and then we set up for the show. So anyone who wants to train, turn up to one of the shows early, because we always have a seminar. It varies in price. It's normally around about £15. Sometimes if you've got someone like Johnny Storm coming down, it's £25. But yeah, so our next show is at West Lynn on the 12th of November, and then we've got Outwell on the 26th of November, and our Christmas one at the Bash, which is normally a fun show sort of to end the year with, back at West Lynn for December the 17th. All of those shows have got training before them if you want to give it a go. And like I say, with professional wrestling, the hardest thing is walking through that door. Okay, the minute you walk through that door, you will realise that Falling Star Wrestling, especially the academy, really friendly guys, really welcoming. You're not going to be sort of like left in the corner. No one's going to talk to you. Everyone's really welcoming, really kind. Even though wrestling is hard and it takes a toll on your body, I don't train people with the old school way where we bash the shit out of them. I want you guys to learn, and I want you guys to learn in a safe environment where you feel, sort of cared for and looked after, and in a safe environment. So don't worry about, is anyone going to talk to me or whatever. People, the guys there, exceptionally friendly, exceptionally nice. You guys hopefully will be able to vouch for that.
Yeah,
100%,
yeah,
for sure.
And the training, I'm not boasting about. It's rare because I hate boasting about things that involve me, but I'm gonna fucking boast about this one. Falling Star Wrestling Academy provides probably some of the best training in the country. Some of the guys that have come out of there, who are now wrestling and going on the circuit, I can see the difference in the quality between them and between a lot of the other guys. And if that gets me heat, I don't give two fucks. Falling Star Wrestling Training Academy is the best academy in the country. It might not be the biggest, it might not have the most people, but the people who come and learn in that academy end up, if they work hard and want it, end up becoming good professional wrestlers. So, I really do rate our training. And our shows are pretty cool too. Again, just keep a look on the Facebook page, and make sure you come to one of our shows. Like I said, Linsport is our biggest show of the year, but we've just done that. Our smaller shows still provide a lot of entertainment, a lot of fun, and just make sure you get down there and get to one. And like I say, experience Falling Star Wrestling. We're a live events team. We put on great live events, great shows. And like I said, I think that in terms of quality of entertainment and value and bang for your buck, you're not going to get any better out there. So I very rarely, and this is the first time I've ever really sort of put the company over and put the training over. But I think now this is the time. This is the time to start really looking out for Fallen Star Wrestling, because our last show was fucking so good, and like I said, we're ready now to really start getting our name out there. So yeah, come along to one of our shows and see for yourself, because we're pretty fucking good.
No, I think that's
Absolutely.
perfect. Thank you very much, Jimmy.
No
And,
bother.
Thank you.
we will see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. There we go. Goodbye.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that was great.